Prince Edward and Sophie, his wife, were granted new titles as the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh earlier this year. As a result, their youngest child, James, who previously held the title of Viscount Severn, inherited his father's secondary title and is now referred to as the Earl of Wessex. Although James has made public appearances at significant royal events recently, little is known about the 15-year-old who resides with his parents at Bagshot Park, a 17th-century estate near Windsor. He is currently 15th in line to the throne and is the youngest grandchild of the late Queen Elizabeth II. He was born James Alexander Philip Theo Mountbatten Windsor in Surrey on December 17, 2007. At his birth, he held the 8th position in the line of succession, ahead of his older sister, Lady Louise Windsor, who is now 19 years old. His father lovingly described him as very cute and very cuddly upon birth. Since then, a significant change has occurred in the order of succession with the introduction of the Succession to the Crown Act. This means that male children no longer overtake their female siblings in the line of succession. The act was passed in 2013 and applies only to those born after October 28, 2011. Consequently, James's position in the line of succession remains ahead of Louise, unaffected by the birth of Zara Tyndall's third baby, Lucas, last year. Although Zara's mother, Princess Anne, is older than Edward, she was born before the act was implemented. James, who is reported to be one of the Queen's favorite grandchildren, received his baptism in the enchanting private chapel of Windsor Castle in April 2008. When Prince Edward and Sophie exchanged vows in 1999, they decided that their future children would receive courtesy titles instead of being addressed as prince or princess, which the late monarch supported. James was given the title of Viscount Severn, one of his father's subsidiary titles, and it is believed that this choice was made to honor Sophie's Welsh heritage, as the name is derived from the River Severn in Wales. The Edinburgh couple prioritized giving their children a modest upbringing despite their prominent status. As a result, information about their children, James and Louise, is scarce. However, Sophie has disclosed some details about their family life, including their fondness for barbecues, with Prince Edward being especially adept at grilling. During an interview with The Times in 2020, Sophie was asked about her efforts to provide her children with a normal life. In response, she asked, "What's normal?" and disclosed that they attend regular schools. At that time, both James and Louise were enrolled in independent schools. Reports indicate that James has received his education at 2 coeducational prep schools, Eagle House School and St. George's School, located near their home. However, these schools typically educate students up to the age of 13, implying that James likely transitioned to a new school a couple of years ago. Sophie also mentioned that her children relish sleepovers, parties with friends, and walking with their dogs, providing glimpses into their everyday lives. According to Sophie, not everyone's grandparents live in a castle, and where you're going or who they are is unimportant. When the children are with the Queen, she is simply their grandmother. Sophie also shared that they are raising their children with the understanding that they will likely have to work for a living, influencing their decision not to use HRH titles. While Lady Louise is known for her academic achievements, with her A-level grades undisclosed but securing admission to St. Andrews University to study English, less is known about James's scholarly abilities. In 2016, Sophie explained that when her children were very young, they tried to keep them out of the public spotlight to allow them to grow up as normally as possible. They recognized the importance of starting their lives normally because they would eventually have to find a job and support themselves. They hoped to prepare them for the future by giving them a normal upbringing. In recent times, James has gained recognition through several significant public appearances. At age 11, he embarked on his first overseas engagement in April 2015, accompanying his parents and sister on a trip to South Africa. During their visit, they visited the Ubunye Foundation, a non-profit organization in Grahamstown. Sophie emphasized the importance of exposing her children to the reality that there is a great need to support, protect, and nurture the communities surrounding these beautiful environments. Despite not being interested in social media, as revealed in a 2020 interview by Sophie, she and Edward have plans to teach their children how to use it effectively as they grow older. Sophie acknowledged that the virtual world can sometimes be unkind, and she hopes that her open relationship with her children will enable them to navigate it more successfully. Sophie, who serves as the patron of the NSPCC and Childline, emphasized the significance of young people having supportive adults in their lives. Sophie believes that maintaining openness within families is crucial to supporting teenagers. James has publicly appeared during significant events, such as the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Additionally, he joined his cousins in standing vigil beside his grandmother's coffin at Westminster Hall after her passing in September of the previous year. During the solemn vigil, the then 14-year-old was observed with his head bowed, gazing toward the ground for about 10 minutes. His conduct during the event received praise as he displayed maturity beyond his young age. More recently, in May, James made a striking appearance at King Charles's coronation. Dressed in a sharp black suit, he exuded elegance, complementing it with a crisp white shirt and a stylish burgundy tie. The family later gathered on the iconic Buckingham Palace balcony alongside the working royals, while throngs of enthusiastic supporters filled the mall, unleashing deafening cheers. Lady Louise and James stood proudly beside their regal parents, waving to the mammoth crowd as anticipation built for the RAF flypast. Unfortunately, due to heavy rain in London, the flypast had to be scaled back to helicopters and the remarkable Red Arrows display. James was also spotted with the rest of his family and royal relatives attending the coronation concert held in Windsor Castle. Interestingly, James and his sister did not partake in the carriage procession during Trooping the Colour in June, nor did they grace the Buckingham Palace balcony as they did the previous year. Reports indicated that King Charles aimed to limit the balcony spots to working royals only. At the same time, it was also mentioned that James had a busy academic schedule, diligently preparing for his GCSE exams. With keen royal supporters keeping a watchful eye, it remains to be seen if this young, hidden royal will assume a more prominent role in the public engagements of the esteemed monarchy in the future. What are your thoughts on the possibility of James, Earl of Wessex, stepping into a working role within the royal family when the time is right? If you enjoyed this video, remember to show your support by giving it a thumbs up, and consider subscribing to Modest Narratives for more interesting royal content. Take a look at the end screen to discover more videos about the Edinburghs.